said, we are at the point that is just an honor for all of us because we get to acknowledge the work that gets done by beautiful, beautiful people. And in this case, it's been done for generations and in different locations. And I get the privilege of representing the Regional Council to acknowledge and to present this honor to the McCloskey family. Joseph McCloskey and Frances McAllister McCloskey were extraordinary people who raised a family, many who are here, steeped in service to our church and to their communities. Their legacy of service and social justice began in New York and has grown through another 3 generations, including 5 children, 3 of whom are still with us, 9 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren, who all live, breathe, and continue the matriarch and patriarch's commitment to service in so many ways. We, though, cannot talk about this award without talking about our beloved Father Joe. For Joe, as some of you know him, Father Joe, some of us know him, Bud and Uncle Bud, as these 3 tables here know him. A Jesuit for over 50 years, Father Joe has touched so many of us in this room, in this community, in this world, with his compassion, with his spirituality, his faith, his kindness, his insight, his intuition, his patience, his prayerfulness, his humor, and his humility. Father Joe has been a fixture here at Gonzaga. He's been a fixture in D.C. He's been a fixture here at IVC, both as a regional council member and as a spiritual reflector beyond compare. We first approached, this is a story, Pete, you and I talked about, Peggy, you and I talked about. There's an inside story here. We had approached Father Joe sort of unofficially on the QT because we were hoping that finally this year he might acquiesce to being honored with the Della Strada Award. The family members particularly, and those of us who have known him over the years, you're not surprised by this reaction that he had. Because he looked and he said, oh no, we can't do that. And then all of a sudden that humility that he has for himself got turned around 180 degrees as he boasted about his family. And he boasted about his parents. He talked about his mom who went to Fordham Law School, first in her class, I believe was accepted as Francis showed up, and Fordham realized it was not a guy that they had accepted. This was a woman who was generations beyond her time. He talked about his father. They met in law school. His father was a 5th grade school teacher in some of the toughest areas of New York City, and how they did some law work together also in the evenings. He talked about how they raised them, how his parents raised them. He didn't talk about himself a stitch. He talked about his brother Pete, and he talked about how he was a successful attorney and a successful businessman, but within that, he found time, and he heads up a group called Study Buddies, which has connected hundreds, if not thousands, of lower-income kids and students online with mentors and tutors. And then he turned around and he said, oh, my sister Peggy. He goes, Peg started something many years ago on a shoestring budget called the Naomi Project. And the Naomi Project over the years has helped connect and mentor over 500 women, pregnant women and mothers, young mothers, with trained mentors to lead to healthier pregnancies, healthier babies, and more fruitful lives. And before Peg retired leading Project Naomi, she wouldn't retire until she assured that that legacy continued, and it continues as she helped bridge the Naomi Project under the wings and the auspices of another great institution and organization in our area, Our Daily Bread. Then Joe went on, and I had to cut this short because I can't take the 2 hours he took sitting in that room up in Gonzaga on the main floor when he really boasted, and I say this to the next generations, because as much as he smiled when he talked about his parents and his siblings, he was just beaming when he talked about the nephews and the nieces and the great nephews and great nieces. And I believe you all know that, And for those of us who are keeping track of Father Joe's progress through the Caring Bridge site, you know what? That's when it really came to life. What a family you have here. How steeped it is in love and faith and admiration for your Bud, your Uncle Bud, our Father Joe, many people's Joe here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this award formally goes to Joseph and Frances McCloskey. It goes to Father Joe, and it goes to the entire McCloskey family. Pete and Peggy are here tonight to accept the award on behalf of the family, not on behalf of themselves, as they've told me time and time again, but they are here to accept it on behalf of Bud. They are here to accept it on behalf of their children and their parents and their children's children. Okay? And bottom line, while Father Joe may not be sitting here, he sure is looking here. He's in Philly. We were thinking of Skyping or FaceTiming this. Okay? You know he is in Philly. He is smiling from ear to ear, and he is so, so proud, not of what he's done. He is so proud of what this family has done over 4 generations. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know a better way to ask you to join me other than to stand up as Pete and Peggy come up here to accept this award.
Thank you, Joe. I guess I'd like to go back even one more time. Peg's namesake, Margaret O'Shea McCallister, was a graduate of Cornell University in 1893 and taught 4 years in one of the first historically black colleges, Hampton College in Virginia. And unfortunately, my mother never knew her. She died when she was 2. But it was the start of a legacy. My mother had polio when my brother was born, or rather when our first sister was born. She was told not to have any more children. And then Father Bud came along about 12 months later. So we wouldn't be here if she'd followed that instruction either. My brother wanted to go in the seminary. He wanted to go to the minor seminary right out of grammar school. My mother and father wouldn't hear of it. He wanted to go out of high school, and the Jesuits in New York province did not accept him. He hadn't taken Greek. 4 years of Latin he had, but you know, New York had a little higher standard, yet that Greek was about 3 years. So he applied to the Maryland province, and they did accept him, and thank God. He's gone through something which none of us want to go through, but he's done it in an amazing way to us and a revelation to us too. We've known for the last 15 years he's never been happier in his life because he's found his true vocation, and that was in spiritual direction. And he got so much out of it. I mean, you talk about his inordinate pride in family. It was one of his vices, but it was also his inordinate pride in all of his directees. He just thought everyone was so wonderful and so unique and so inspirational that it really is, well, I don't know anybody else who's had over 7,000 hits on a Caring Bridge site, you know, but he has, and it keeps on going, and we're very, very appreciative. My sister Peg, I have to tell you, is extraordinary. Recognized in Fairfax County on Friday with the award, Life Service Award, for her community service in Fairfax County for the Naomi Project. Well, I have to wish her. My little Study Buddy Project, well, we have over 1,000 tutors around the country now volunteering their time to make it available to those who want it over the internet for free tutoring. It's something that started about 10 years ago, and it has grown as well, and it's been amazing to me. It's disappointing that it's not everywhere, but, you know, that's the way it is. Peg?
I'd like to give a shout out to our daughter Meg. I'm so grateful for the family members who are here, and our daughter Meg, who lives in Philly. She couldn't come to be part of this, so she decided that what she would do instead was go to St. Joe's and be with Bud during the time of this ceremony. And it just makes him feel to me so much closer knowing that Meg is there with him. I just think that I in life have been blessed with wonderful, incredible parents and with wonderful brothers. So many incredible things, stories I could tell. When I was going to make my first confession, I was terrified. I just didn't know how you could go in that door by yourself and talk to this person who was representing God but was behind the screen. And so my brothers took me over to church. We lived not too far from our parish church, and they took me. One Bud sat in the and Pete was outside encouraging me, and they opened the door, and I went in, and, you know, bless me, Father, and this was my brother on the other side. So when the actual occurrence, you know, when I had the actual time to go, I was pretty brave because my brothers had shown me the way. Maybe one more story I would say is that when Bud left for the Jesuits, I was 12, I guess, at the time, and he was leaving at about 6 in the morning, and I was, as a good 12-year-old, sound asleep. But he came in to my bedroom, and he slipped his high school ring on my finger, so that when I woke up, I had his senior ring, and that was such a big deal, you know, to have a high school ring from a guy's school, and I had my brother's ring. Didn't get any better than that. And again, to what Pete says, Caring Bridge has meant so much for us. I feel like it's been for me a spiritual experience to be able to read the Caring Bridge messages that you all have put there. So thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.